and it's time for the first annual Geeks Not Nerds Awards.
First, not like the 8th or anything.
We're going to be doing awards from 2010. We're going to talk about stuff that happened last year, Vince.
Oh yeah.
How was 2010 for you, Vince? What kind of year was 2010?
It was pretty much a year, you know. It started in January, ended in December.
Right.
It was pretty good.
Can you be more specific? How did it differ from previous years?
Oh, it was pretty good for me. Pretty eventful. Not things that I think necessarily need to be recorded on Geekvolution, but pretty eventful.
Yeah, I thought 2010 was extremely huge for me because, of course, my wife and I had our son, so that was huge for me, and it was really huge for Geekvolution. And I'd say that if this year is even half as cool as last year, it's going to be a great year for Geekvolution. And we just want to thank you folks for all you've done for watching us and helping us out, and all the great stuff that we've done this last year has been thanks to you folks. You know, we started in the end of 2009, Vince, with 2 shows. We started with Superhero Rewind, and we started with Geeks Not Nerds, and that's all we had.
Yeah.
That's all we had. And we had no plans really to keep doing more than that, but people kept watching, people kept subscribing, and we kept having ideas. And we said, what if we did recommends? And we said, what if we do Horror Movie Rewind? What if you did Horror Movie Rewind, Vince?
I don't know, that'd be a special thing.
Yeah, it would. You know, what if we did what if we did comic reviews? And the ideas just kept coming. And as people kept watching, more things happened. And now we're on a full 6-day rotation, Vince. And we I like how you did, just like you didn't know. Are you reading people's comments?
Yeah, some things come up in all caps, and I'm going, maybe it's important.
Well, we are recording this live, and we're also recording it normally. So we're going to be talking to 2 different screens, you folks and you. And we're going to be posting this later in the week. So if folks didn't manage to make it to the live show, they'll be able to watch it later. So that's cool, and wonderful modern technology, Vince.
Wait, modern as opposed to retro technology, right?
Yes.
You know, the kind that they find buried in ancient Egypt. Help me, Jeebus.
This is going to be really fun. This is a really exciting event that we're doing, and this is all thanks to King, who came up with this idea, the 2010 Geeks Not Nerds Awards. Thanks very much to King. He's with us, and me. And basically, King came up with this idea because he thought it would be really, cool.
Them.
If we, okay, knock it off. We thought it'd be really cool if we took a look at some of the entertainment that happened this last year and see what people thought was the best, and in one case, the worst. And we're going to be looking at comics, and we're going to be looking at movies and video games. And the best in
those are like the 3 things
categories.
I like. Here we go.
Here is where the audience participation comes in, Vince. We're going to do 2 categories. Between each 2 categories, we're going to be taking questions about anything you want to ask us about, except for extremely personal things. And we're going to be
maybe even
taking
some personal things, depending.
We'll talk about our shows. We'll talk about our channel. We'll talk about comics. We'll talk about movies. Anything you'd like to ask us, so we'll try to answer. And we haven't done a Q&A in a while, so we thought we'd take this opportunity to do a live Q&A. And so between each 2 categories, we'll take a question about anything you'd like. So anyway, once again, thanks a lot everybody who's with us live. And are you ready, Vince?
Yeah,
Are you ready to get going?
Are you ready?
I am so ready.
Are you guys ready?
Hey, is my wife here? There's my wife. There she is.
How about you guys?
Dopper Girl 1989, that's Sarah. For anybody who wants to talk to Sarah, there she is. Okay. Here we go. We're going to start with, once again, let me just mention how this worked in case folks didn't, are here who didn't actually participate in this. What we did is we took, we took nominations from our viewers, and again, movies and comics and, oh great, that's going to be fun, isn't it? And in movies, comics, and video games. And I think King said that we had pretty much everybody who's on the website participated. So I'm assuming we got quite a few entries, between 80 and 100. So there should have been quite a few. And we'll see what your top 3 were for each thing. So this was voted for by you folks, and we actually didn't vote ourselves, did we, Vince? So we'll vote now, and it won't count.
We weren't supposed to?
I don't think we were supposed to.
That's cool, because I didn't do it.
I don't think we were supposed to. Anyway, so we haven't seen these. We have no idea what the responses are. We don't know.
But I do know that the answers to these questions lie within these envelopes.
Yes, the answers lie within the. Hopefully, they don't lie, but they're inside the envelopes.
The answers are currently positioned inside of these paper objects.
And we're gonna be finding out at the same time as you're gonna be finding out. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be just like an award show, except that we're sitting down and there's not live music.
And there's comic book stuff in the background.
So, this Pac-Man says, "Lie to me." Anyway.
I think that's a song, isn't it?
Probably. It's probably more than one song.
I think it's a blues song.
Okay, here we go, Vince. Yeah, King is the only person. Well, King and my wife are the only two people who know what the responses are. Now we know the top three. Well, I know the top three for each. I've looked at the top three, but I haven't looked at the. But I don't know what the number one is. So
the nominees are.
All right.
Anyway,
here we go. We're gonna find out what the best things in video games were according to you folks right now. So here we go. Vince, we're going to do the top two. We're going to do the first two categories, and then we're going to take a question from our audience. And the first category is the top 3 Wii games for 2010. The top Wii games. And the nominations are Super Mario Galaxy 2, Monster Hunter Tri, and Donkey Kong Country Returns. Yes, indeed. So everybody who's watching right now, see if you can guess. Type in right now. Type in what you think is going to win. What do you think is going to win? Type in right now. I'm not going to give you money or anything, but type it in right now. And we'll see what it is. 10 seconds.
Apparently, a lot of people think Smug 2 is going to win.
That wasn't one of the. And the winner is Vince. The best Wii game of the year, according to you folks, is Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Go
Super
Smug!
Mario Galaxy 2. I was voting. I was guessing Donkey Kong Country, which is what I would have voted for actually. Donkey Kong Country Returns is an astoundingly good game.
I haven't played any of them, but I've seen them played. Well, I played Returns and I enjoyed it, but as a 2-player game, I always thought Donkey Kong Country was a little lacking.
Oh, it's not great as 2-player. I don't love the co-op. I mean, the co-op is okay, but like that's not what I liked about it.
That's how I played it, because I played it on somebody else's copy with them. So.
And Galaxy's amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's really great, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because Donkey Kong Country came out later, and it was kind of a sleeper hit. Like I didn't know that was happening until E3. And then all of a sudden there it was, and I was like, whoa. And then it was awesome. So,
I wasn't aware of it until a couple weeks before it came out.
yeah. Well, that's because Vince doesn't keep up with anything, but he still pretends like he does.
It's because I don't have a Wii and I don't care.
Oh, sad. Vince?
Alrighty. This is apparently our top downloadable game.
Top downloadable games.
Alrighty.
And what are the nominations, Vince?
The nominations are Sonic 4 Episode 1, Pac-Man Championship Edition DX, Limbo, because apparently it's now
Hold on.
Oh wait, we gotta get these.
Yeah. Let people type in and see see what you think it's gonna be. Oh, it's not gonna be Pac-Man. It's not gonna be Pac-Man. Although that was really cool. Yeah, I don't think that'll win, but I think it was really cool.
I just wonder how somebody actually limbos on the internet.
I think Limbo will win. I do. I really think it's gonna be Limbo. But Limbo was neat, but it was too hard. I was awful at it. It was really, really puzzly.
Puzzling.
Mm-hmm.
It was puzzling.
It was a platformer, but it was puzzly. It's fun to see all these platformers be big this year, because platforming is my favorite thing. It's just my favorite thing. Limbo was a downloadable game on the I think on both 360 and the PS3. I don't think you could get it on the Wii, but I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
A game about existing between life and death.
All right, Vince.
You ready? You ready? Here we go. All right. The answer is.
The answer.
The winner is Sonic 4 Episode 1.
There it is.
Indeed.
Vince, did you come over and play Sonic 4 with me?
I did not.
I didn't remember if you did or not. Yeah, I recommended it on one of the recommends. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was as good as some of the other downloadables this year. But I didn't play as much. You know what I mean? Like there's probably something else I would have voted for had I played it. But I did really kind of. I liked Sonic 4 to points. but the more I've played it, the more I've liked it less, actually. In fact, going back on it now, I'm not sure I would have even recommended it. Like, played it through once and really liked it, and then as I've gone back, I found more problems with it, so, I don't know. Yeah. Somebody thinks these results are tampered with, Vince.
Well, they were written down.
We are now going to take a question from the audience. Let's take a question from the audience. Ask us anything. We'll take the first question that looks really cool. And in the meantime, Vince is going to sing a song.
This is the song that never...
In the meantime, Vince is going to sing a better song.
You know, I have been singing Crazy Little Thing Called Love lately. It's a lot of fun. You guys should try Rock Band if you haven't. And you know, if you've been living under a rock somewhere. And by a rock, I mean the country.
You mean not living under a rock band?
Yeah. We have any questions?
Yeah, we've got some questions, Vince. I see favorite season of Supernatural, favorite Star Trek captain. What do you think of Brightest Day? Okay, if we don't do your question, would you please try to remember your question and ask it again when we do questions again later, because I'm not going to scroll up and look at all of them. So let's go ahead and pick one of these now. And Vince, why don't you pick a question?
I like the Supernatural.
Okay, go ahead. That'll be for you, because I haven't watched Supernatural yet. Go ahead.
I'm going to say I really, really enjoyed Season 1. Maybe Season 2 a little more. I can't say for certain. But I did like Season 1. Just right out of the gates, I thought it was a good, episodic, fun show. And I thought it was good all the way to the end. But I really enjoyed Season 1 the most. Because it was just more fun than the other seasons. Yeah.
That's all you have to say?
Yeah, I mean,
that's your whole elaboration?
Well, you see, the thing about it is that it becomes a very different show by the end of the season. What's interesting is that the characters are still pretty 2D by the time they get to the end. Even though they've managed to add some character arcs to them. They are basically the same guys as they were at the beginning. One's a womanizer, the other one hates himself. So, that's why I enjoy Season 1 more.
Let's go ahead and answer one more question, since that was kind of short. Somebody asked, what is your favorite Star Trek captain? Let's answer that one.
Right,
My favorite Star Trek captain is Picard. Picard, for me, growing up, was always a role model. I always wanted to be like Captain Picard. Picard was always about doing the right thing. He was a really moral kind of character, and I mean, he'd weigh everything. And he was the guy. It's hard to look at Picard and not say, ooh, that's what I want to be like. So yeah, always was Picard. And I love Kirk. I love Sisko, but it will always be Picard over Kirk for me.
Mine was Sisko. I liked him more. I don't know, just because I
like. But you like
DS9
more.
Yeah, DS9 I liked a whole lot more than everything else. I don't know. Growing up, the only thing I could watch really regularly was DS9. Not that I ever watched it regularly, but I watched it more so than I watched the others. And I think it was largely because of Avery Brooks. I like that guy a whole lot.
Avery Brooks is a really neat actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's odd in real life, though.
Well, aren't they all?
No. Some of them are really down to earth, and some of them are just strange. And Avery Brooks was that way. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to do the top handheld games, Vince. Top games for handheld systems. And the nominees were...
The Rubik's Cube.
From 2010, Vince. From 2010.
Right.
And this was... Some of these were kind of odd. Okay, so the... Sorry, I'm just... You guys chose wrong. We chose wrong. What do we choose wrong, King?
I think the captains.
He thinks we chose the captains wrong. Okay.
You should have chosen Cisco. And
the nominees are God of War: Ghost of Sparta on the PSP, Super Scribblenauts, and Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver on the DS. Super Scribblenauts was on the DS also. I think Super Scribblenauts is fantastic, so I'm really hoping that wins. But there are other things I would have liked to have seen on here that I was kind of surprised. And Ghost of Sparta came out of nowhere. Like I didn't know people were even still playing PSP. But no, I would have expected I would have expected to have seen WarioWare on here. Because that was this new game where you could actually make your own little mini games, and my wife's been playing the crap out of that. She's made some really neat games. Yes, indeed. Okay, here we go.
It is now crap free because she's played it all out.
And the winner was Vince. Super Scribblenauts. If it's not Super Scribblenauts, I'm gonna like blow my brain off on camera. Luckily, I have no gun. Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
I did not see that coming.
I didn't either. It was very popular though. They were, and I mean, what's funny about that, of course, is that they're actually two different games, but they came out at the same time, and they're the same kind of format. But anyway, yeah, I don't play the Pokemon games. I don't really know them, so I don't know if it was good as far as Pokemon games go. But anyway.
I played the first Pokemon game. I was just amazed that it's had this longevity.
Yeah, me too.
Alrighty. Top HD.
Top HD means basically the top in the next gen systems, and also I think PC is thrown in there also. So pretty much anything that's not the Wii.
I knew that. I don't know why I forgot.
And that's because of cross-platform games and that sort of thing. It's hard to say, best 3 games on the 360 and best 3 games on the PS3 because there have been so many more popular cross-platforms than there have been exclusives. So I think that's the reason King went ahead and did it that way.
All right. Are you guys ready? The answer is yes, because you're watching. Alrighty. The top 3 are Mass Effect 2 for PS3, 360, and PC. Transformers War for Cybertron for PS3 and 360. And Red Dead Redemption for PS3 and 360.
I was surprised to see that Halo Reach was not on this list. And despite the fact that a lot of people didn't like it, I'm also kind of surprised that Black Ops wasn't on there just because there's so many people obsessed with Call of Duty. But I was actually really surprised to see War for Cybertron because that wasn't even one of the top rated games of the year.
I'm a little surprised, not necessarily that it's on the list, but I'm a little surprised that anybody actually cares about a Western game. That makes me a little happy inside.
Red Dead was really popular.
So
super popular. It was one of the top selling games of the year.
Just makes me a little happy. I'm just saying.
It was neat, from what I heard. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I mean, I saw a lot of gameplay and stuff, but it was uber bloody.
Well, that's what happens when people get shot.
No.
Bullets, my only weakness.
Vince, what do you think is going to win then?
I think
it's going to be Mass Effect.
I think probably so. But I'd really like it to be Red Dead.
Mass Effect and Red Dead both deserve on being on that list. I don't know about Transformers, but...
Well, I suppose there's a difference between really good and fun, So, you ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's find out.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
And the winner is Red Dead Redemption.
Aw, I didn't see that coming.
That makes me a little happy. Thank you, guys.
You haven't even played it.
No, I haven't played it, but I just love the fact that Westerns are not dead. At least
Westerns
if we can't
are on their way back.
If we can't get a bunch of Western movies, at least we can get a bunch of Western games. Here we go.
Vince.
Yo.
At the risk of doing the obvious thing, it's time now to take a question.
A question.
Ask your questions. While Vince does a puppet act and drinks at the same time. Oh, goodness. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of stuff. Ooh, somebody wants me to finish my story about St. Louis.
I thought you did finish your story about St. Louis.
No, do you remember when we were doing the recommend? I got to a portion in that story that had to do with what you were talking about, and then I said, "There's more to that story, but I'll let you finish your recommend." I had 4 comments in capital letters, 4 comments in capital letters that said, "You must finish the story."
Maybe we need to have a brief revival of Captain's Log just to tell us about the St. Louis trip.
I can do it real quick.
Go for
You want to do it real quick? Okay, so if you didn't see, I'll do this real quick. We'll answer other questions after the next set. Okay, so when we did a recommend, and what was the recommend? Oh, it was the recent one. It was the one we just put up Sunday, right? It was the one where you recommended Suffering.
Was it that one?
No, it wasn't. No, it was the question because the question was set in a place that was like East St. Louis.
Hub City based on St. Louis. Here we go.
That's anyway. Thank you. That's what it was. And when we talked about that, you said East St. Louis, and I said, oh, I must mention that I went to East St. Louis. And the story I told was that I went to St. Louis to see my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and I wound up in East St. Louis because I took a wrong turn. To make a long story short, to make the first part of the story short, and I went into this really scary looking gas station, and when I used the phone, there was a guy who, there were a couple of creepy looking guys, and one of them said, oh, I bet that guy has a gun. He thought I had a gun. I was like 18 and really wimpy looking, and of course did not have a gun. But it was really funny, and he was like, "Oh, I bet that guy has a gun." So anyway, I made the mistake, of course, of trying to ask for directions. I'm in the middle of East St. Louis, and I'm scared out of my mind. I've never been here. I don't know what I'm doing. I just got out of high school, and I tell them the name of the street I'm supposed to go to. I'm like, "Do you know where this is?" They're like, "We're in St. Louis. How would we know that, right?" So then they're like, "Hey, drive down." We looked at it up in a phone book and kind of sort of figured out maybe sort of where it was. He was like, "Oh, well, you should just go down Clayton Road." So I jumped on Clayton Road. I didn't get back on the highway. I just went on this road. Well, that road was like, it would have taken me like an hour and a half to drive on to get to where I was going. And so I just start driving in the direction I'm supposed to go, right? And I'm going, and the whole time I'm wondering if I'm going the right direction. At a couple points, I think I turned around and then turned back around again. And when I started getting closer to where Sarah's parents lived, they live in let's see, close to Kirkwood. I forget the name of the actual place where they live in St. Louis. I'm sure Sarah will tell me if she's still here. And basically, what ended up happening was I started finding the same three things, Vince. I'd be driving and I would come upon three things. There'd be white picket fences, and there'd be white picket, Baldwin, thanks Sarah. There'd be white picket fences, and there'd be horses. And then right after that, there'd be like a subdivision called Something Meadows, and then there'd be Walgreens on every side of a street corner. There'd be like three Walgreens. And then you get past that, and then you'd wind right back up into more picket fences and horses, and then meadows, and then so like I thought I was in the friggin' Twilight Zone. Like 6 sections of this, I kept running into this, and it was really kind of funky weird. Well, then I got there. I got to where I thought I was supposed to be, and Sarah in her notes had said, "Now, if you get to this grocery store, you've gone too far." Well, I got to that grocery store, so I thought I'd gone too far. So I turned around and I couldn't figure out where I was going. So I found a payphone, because this was before I had a cell phone. This was back in the dark ages. And I found a payphone, and I called Sarah, and then she was like, she gave me directions to get there. And she said turn left out of the parking lot where you're at and get there. So because she thought I was at this particular gas station, right? So I got out of there and I went down, and she said that when I got to the bottom of this hill, I'd be making a left. But there was nowhere to go when I got to the bottom of this hill. And I got really confused. I did this 3 times. I could not figure out where the heck I was. There was the grocery store, but Sarah's house was nowhere to be found. So I get back to the payphone. I call my wife. And of course, only I would say this. I call my wife and I say, or she wasn't my wife yet, but I call Sarah. And I say, "Sarah, I've figured out something. I figured out that I am in St. Louis and you are in St. Louis, but we are not in the same St. Louis." And ultimately, what we discovered was that there was actually the same grocery store on both sides of her house. So if you go here, there's that grocery store, and if you go there, there's the same identical grocery store like 3 blocks away. And that's what had happened. And it was really bizarre. Suffice it to say, it took me about 8 hours to get somewhere that it should have taken me about 5.5 hours to get to. And it was awful. That was a terrible trip. Vince, it's time now for the top game of the year. Ooh. Game of the year. Any platform, all over the place, game of the year. Here we go. Once again, according to you. If you don't like the pick, don't kill us. We had nothing to do with it.
If we have any viewers named Jim, it's according to Jim.
Really?
Badum Ching.
Really? You know, luckily there are people who still think you're funny.
Yeah, I'm not one of them, but I'm glad.
Mass Effect 2. Red Dead Redemption. Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Seems like a very, very familiar list.
Seems like a familiar list. Do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be Red Dead again? I
think it's going to be Galaxy.
For Game of the Year?
I think so.
I don't know, man, because I would imagine there's a lot of people who probably voted on this who don't play Wii, and that would skew the results quite a bit.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was Mass Effect, considering?
It'd be kind of neat. I'd suddenly went out on that, but no, I mean I hope it's Galaxy 2 over this list, but I don't know. I still would have thrown Donkey Kong in there, but that's just me. Let's see if you folks are right. Here we go. And the winner is Red Dead Redemption again. Wow, I'm very surprised by that.
Go Westerns!
I am very surprised by that.
I think this may be the only award show where one of the guys is like, "Woohoo! Go a particular one, yeah!"
Well, Well, luckily we didn't have to. We don't have to take any flack for it, so that's good.
Yeah.
Vince, we're now going to go into comics.
Ooh.
And first we're going to do, actually, yeah, that's fine. Sorry. I want to make this interesting. Let's start with Top Writer.
Top Writer.
Writer of the Year. These are the three writers you folks chose. This is not a bad list. Here we go. The three writers of the year are Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns, and Matt Fraction. Now I think Morrison's going to win this. Morrison's kind of had the year. Lots of people love what he's been doing with Batman. He's basically, if you say you don't like Grant Morrison, there's some comic book fan that just shoots you in the face.
They're lined up.
Right
they're
now.
locked and ready.
Oh, they're ready, man. They're everywhere. They're invisible. They have like suits for that.
They have the Predator suit.
Jeff Johns, of course, has been primarily doing Brightest Day and also Flash, and he's been doing some really great work. Frankly, Brightest Day is great, but Flash is better, man. I wish I'd been reading more of that than I have been. I've only read 3 or 4 issues, but man, it's good. It's really good. And of course, Fraction with his Iron Man, and Fraction is about to be doing the new big Marvel event, Fear Itself. Fraction will be writing. But anyway, so this is mostly about Batman, Iron Man, and Brightest Day and Flash. So what do you folks think? Who's going to win it? I think Morrison's going to win it, but I would have voted Johns over Morrison, I think. Only because I do have a few issues with the Batman thing myself. I'm still on the fence on some of what's going on. So I don't think you've really been reading any of these series.
No.
So.
I guess I'm accidentally the indie guy. I don't know.
Yeah, Vince, you are kind of the indie guy, but there's nothing wrong with that. Because we've always had that. I'm mainstream guy, you're indie guy,
Yeah. Well, I suppose Dark Horse isn't really that indie. I don't know what happened over the years. I just started going Dynamite and Dark Horse.
Mm-hmm. No, Dark Horse certainly isn't indie, but when you compare it to the others, yeah.
And Image, yeah, good point.
People do think of it that way.
The guy said Robert Kirkman. I would have chosen Robert Kirkman probably.
I'm surprised he didn't. Well, I'm almost surprised he didn't wind up on this list. And in fact, Walking Dead. Sorry, let me mention this real quick, and I'll probably talk about this on the comic show this week, but on late night. But I saw a list of the top grossing comics this year. The top 10 grossing comics. Like 2 or 3 of them were Walking Dead, and I was really kind of surprised by that. And like number 5, smack dab in the middle, was Superman Earth 1.
You know, that is kind of surprising, considering that the movies really haven't had a huge impact. I mean, there's been some impact, but there hasn't been a huge impact on the comic book industry based on movies made back.
Generally, movies, no, but apparently TV might be another story, because we haven't seen a lot of this, and all of a sudden we've got a TV show based on a comic series that's being pretty faithful to the comic series, as far as I'm aware, at least as faithful as I think it could probably be, and yeah, it is being... it's being said that is the reason for the spike.
I mean, I suppose that makes sense. The television industry is very episodic. We have all these type of things going on. It's an ongoing type of entertainment. Therefore, it's a little more relatable to an ongoing series.
The winner! Grant Morrison.
Nuh-uh.
Called that.
No, I don't believe it. Recount.
Vince, let's take a question.
A question. Alrighty. Here it comes. Yeah! Let's answer that.
Thanks, Sid Blackgory. Thanks for that. Would you like to answer that question?
I actually can't read the question because it was a little off the screen. It was like, what do you think of Vince?
What do you think of Vince?
I think he's probably wearing a hat in most of his videos. Da-da-da-da-da.
1 second. I'm having a hard time. Yeah, I can't scroll up on the screen.
Was it True Blood that they were asking about?
I don't know. We apparently can't scroll up on our screens, so we're going to have to see these as soon as we see them.
Oh, True Grit.
True Grit, yeah.
I think it's a shame that they remade a movie that... I forget whether John Wayne won an Oscar or as if he was just nominated for an Oscar. I think it's a shame that they remade that, even though it's been getting good reviews. I haven't seen the movie, but I don't know. My dad is a huge John Wayne fan, and he and I just had a conversation about that the other day where I said, "What do you think, Dad?" And his response was, "Nah, whatever." so I don't know. It bothers me trying to remake things that were really good. I mean, we've had this discussion before, but I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I'm thinking it's probably worth watching. I mean, it's getting a pretty decent critical response. The last time I checked, it was like 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I'll give it a shot at some point.
Eric just did a good review on it. It sounded really good.
It just bothers me that they remade something that won an Oscar. I mean, granted, if you're going to remake something, why not remake something that's going to guarantee money? But
Vince, I'm seeing a couple of cool things. Infamous Nick asks you, what's the most messed up thing you've read in Walking Dead?
I think, and I'm going to ruin this for anybody who... See, that's a difficult question, because anything that I read from that, anything I say is going to ruin something later on. So anybody that doesn't want to, cover your ears and go la 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 until I do this. Alright, how's that sound? Alrighty, so the most messed up thing that I've read in Walking Dead, I think, is what's his name? Is Rick talking to his wife on the phone that's not connected to anything. I think that's pretty much the most messed up thing. I mean, they've had a lot of gory, disturbing things, but I think that's just a really sad and fear-inspiring event within the series. Because, I mean, you can have 1 million people get eaten by zombies, but when your main character is showing you that this guy is basically insane, then there's a problem. Now they sort of...
Sometimes it's not the gory stuff that's disturbing, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the human element that makes Walking Dead a good series. So, that's what I say. Yay, Walking Dead.
Well, and hey, that's got to be why the series, why the TV series is managing to be so popular, because you can't tell me that all those people read the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thus, the surge in sales. Seeing a couple of other cool questions. Ziploc asked me if I'm going to read and review Spawn 200 this week. Absolutely, assuming it comes out. No, absolutely. Of course, I'm going to do Spawn 200. I can't wait. I really hope it's going to be as cool as it looks. And I've been making fun of Tommy Verlin a lot this week, but I really hope that it's going to be good. So yeah, I'm going to read it. Let's answer one more real fast. Coolio Vids is asking us what our favorite Star Wars movie is. Now, we never talk about Star Wars. We never do Star Wars. Let's do Star Wars, Vince. Real quick, what is your favorite Star Wars movie, Vince?
I'm going to say the Ewoks movie.
The Ewoks movie.
No, I'm kidding.
What is your favorite theatrical Star Wars movie, Vince?
I'm thinking, I feel bad if having said Ewoks movie.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
My skin is crawling.
I'm going to go with the first one.
Yeah?
Episode 4.
But yes, right.
I like the very first one because, I don't know, I thought it was a more enjoyable flick. There's a certain stigma attached to it for me because it was the start of something big, and I just watched that and I thought, I feel like this is going somewhere. Mm. So, you watch the other ones and there's some finality to it, even though it keeps going, but that one, there's a lot of energy in it for me, and that's what I like about it.
I would say mine switches every so often, and of course I'm not a giant Star Wars fan, so I don't really think about this all that often, but like, when I was a kid, Empire was my least favorite. Mm-hmm. Empire Strikes Back was my least favorite because it felt kind of dark, and it felt kind of, to me it felt a little gritty, like Luke Skywalker with the giant creature that he has to ride and then slash into it and wear and all that. Like, that always creeped me out when I was a kid. There was something about it. I think now Empire might be my favorite.
Isn't that the one that's
might be my favorite?
Isn't that the one that's been accepted into canon? Like film canon?
Well, the original Star Wars has as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Star Wars is in the AFI's top 100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is film canon, sure. I don't know if Empire was ever considered that way either, but man, what I love about Empire, I mean, that's the movie where Luke gets his hand chopped off, and I don't know, like there is so much iconic stuff in that, and plus Lando Calrissian is fantastic.
Yeah, well, you can't not like Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, I can't not like Billy D. Williams, and he should have been Two-Face, and I still cry about that. It's been 21 friggin' years, I'm still crying about that.
I have actually considered, I'm not kidding, I have actually considered getting a Lando figure and a figure that's just wearing a suit.
And you're just going to rip part of his face off? And
No, just tear his head off and make a Harvey Dent Billy D. figure.
Vince, let's find out who our viewers say is the top artist of the year.
Here we go. All right. The nominees are Francis Manipal.
Yes, Francis Manipal.
I'm not sure how you say that guy's name.
Francis Manipal's been drawing for The Flash, just doing a fantastic job on that. And I guess I'll read these if you don't know.
Ivan Reis.
Ivan Reis for Brightest Day.
Mm-hmm. And Shane Davis.
Who did
for
Superman
Earth 1.
Mm-hmm. And I went and looked at Shane Davis's bio, and he hasn't really done much since 08. And then all of a sudden he comes back and does Earth 1, and he makes this list. But his art is amazing. It's just beautiful. You need to read Earth 1. I think you'd really like it.
I hear it's good.
In fact,
actually, I hear from you that it's good.
That makes me wonder why JMS didn't make it on this list. On the list of writers. That's surprising.
Maybe people are still remembering that whole Gwen Stacy debacle.
Maybe part of it also is because people aren't caring so much for his normal Superman run. Because he's been doing the whole Superman walking through the country thing, and it's been kind of off because he's actually leaving the book in the middle of this arc, and we're seeing people coming in and trying to write it who don't seem to know what to do with it, and it's kind of sad. They're writing from his notes, but they don't really. It's not working. So the two books in that arc that have not been written by him have been really bad.
Apparently, JMS was number 4.
Oh, was he? Cool. Thanks, King. King is here with us to give us extra information. King, did you skip a class to be here? Because you told me you weren't going to be here. Anyway. Yeah, Ziploc didn't like his regular Superman run either. And if Ziploc didn't like it, it must be bad.
He did indeed skip.
King. Thanks, King. Hope you don't get an F. Okay. Vince, right. Who do you folks think is going to be the top writer? This is hard. Yeah, I'm sorry, top artist. And these are good.
I saw a few people write Reese.
So these are really good. I like this list, although I do wish Gilliam March was on this list. Gilliam March did some great stuff. He did a lot of different books, but he was my favorite author or artist this year, and I kind of wished he had made this list. But I don't know. I think Shane Davis is going to win it. I do. I think Davis is going to win it. Vince?
Apparently, Coolio Vids thinks Ha will win it.
No, he was number 4.
He was number 4. All right. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
And the winner is Ivan Reis.
Ivan Reis. Ivan Reis, that's fantastic. I'm surprised by that. I thought he'd be 3rd. And his drawing on Brightest Day has been fantastic. Frankly, his art has kind of been carrying that book. The book's been good. It's been good. Don't get me wrong. Jeff Johns is fantastic, but God, he's just got really epic drawing. It's great. I could go on about it, but I won't. Okay. Now for the top new series. Top new series, Vince. Batman Inc. The Avengers and The Flash.
It's sad that The Avengers is considered a new series.
The thing is, it is. They when they start the numbering system over and then they bring in an entirely new creative team, it is, and also it's a new series because it's a totally different group of people. That's your,
I'm not saying
that team's got Spider-Man and Wolverine on it right now. This is a different Avengers.
I'm not saying that it doesn't belong there. I'm just saying The Flash, Avengers, these are major titles that have been around for a long time.
Yeah, that are being considered new series. I'm with you. That's. I almost wish that people had voted for things that had not been around before. I wish. We should have done. Maybe we should do this next year, King. We should have done Best Mini, because there've been some killer miniseries this year. There've also been some pretty bad miniseries this year, but there've been some pretty killer ones. Because I would have put Batman Beyond on this list. But if I was voting, I would have voted for Batman Beyond, except technically not a new ongoing series, because that was a 6th issue, but the ongoing series started this month. So when we do the 2011, hopefully someone will vote for that. Anyway, wow, who's going to win that? I think it's going to be Batman Inc. I think hands down.
I think most likely. I would almost say that probably the biggest one is the one that most people have been reading, so therefore I'm going to say it's Batman Inc.
Yeah, I think hands down. And it's funny because, that was the end of the year. Issue 1 came out in December. So that's interesting. Here we go. And the winner is The Flash.
Ooh.
I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that because it's an amazing series. I did not think that was going to happen. It's an amazing series. And King says Batman Inc. came in 3rd. You guys were right on that. I think they were right on that. That's fantastic. That's really fantastic. Go ahead, Vince.
Alrighty, top ongoing series. Going-ons. Anyway.
and this could very easily have some of the same stuff that the last one did.
Indeed.
Doesn't look like it does, though.
The top 3 are Green Lantern, Batman and Robin, and Invincible Iron Man.
That's interesting. Wow. None of those are things I would have put on that list. That's interesting. Green Lantern I haven't been reading, although I read some of Green Lantern Corps this year and thought it was really great. But
I'm going to say probably Batman and Robin.
I think Batman and Robin's going to win that.
Well, that's difficult, considering that Green Lantern, the movie's coming out, and there's a big Green Lantern following, so therefore this could be amping up.
Well, that and I don't think that's I think I want to give our viewers and our and readers more credit than that. Green Lantern has been really good this year from what everybody's been telling me. So, I mean, Green Lantern is just a big DC thing right now. If you consider the fact, it kind of makes sense that's on the list just if you think about, Blackest Night and Brightest Day. The main Green Lantern book has been dealing with all that stuff all at the same time, so...
But Invincible Iron Man...
I don't think Iron Man's going to win that. I think there are enough people who think that book is boring.
Really?
Well, I think that book is boring. I like it, but I can only read it together. Like I had it on my pull. I dropped it because I want to read it all together in trade. Because it wasn't okay. When I say it was boring, I mean I couldn't remember what happened last month. That was my problem.
King, please refrain from telling us what's not going to win until after we've read what's won.
Yeah, King, don't do that. Okay, anyway.
All right. Anyway, the winner is Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Not even kind of. Batman and Robin was really good this year. Still, and I mean, no bones about this. I don't love Dick Grayson as Batman. I'm glad Bruce Wayne is back, and I'm not reading Batman and Robin now that Bruce Wayne is back because my money is going to Dark Knight and to Batman Inc. But having said all that, Morrison did some great stuff with that. So. Some great stuff happened with that this year. All right. I missed Nightwing too, did it 22. Okay. And now, it's time for a question. Throw them out. Let's see what we can do.
Actually, I've seen this question on there several times.
Okay.
So I'm going to answer this.
Sure.
There will be another horror movie rewind.
Really?
There will be.
Will there be another horror movie rewind before my baby graduates high school?
Maybe.
Are you going to get Todd McFarlane to help you work on
it? Yes.
Okay, anyway.
I thought about trying to come up with a really funny answer, but I was like, forget it.
Man, The joke was too good. You can't follow that up. You can't begin to.
So it's just a short answer. Yes, there will be. I've been debating whether or not to keep doing the series. So, because obviously there's a slow turnover rate for me. But yeah.
Vince, here's another question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Here's another question for you. Who is your favorite superhero and supervillain? You have to answer both, according to Infamous Nick. We've already answered one of Infamous Nick's questions. We need to answer some of these other people's questions. So do that real quick.
Well, Vigilantes aside, I'm going to say probably The Thing and Doctor Doom.
Oh, well that was easy.
Yeah.
But Vigilantes aside.
Yeah.
Okay. Coolio Vids asks if we watched The Cape. I plan to watch The Cape. I'm going to watch it tomorrow if I get a chance. And
it looks like a lot of fun.
It does, and at first I thought it was going to be awful, and the more I've been seeing about it, the more it looks kind of fun. I'll see if it's any good. And then I'm going to probably... we've got a debate going on. It sucked and it was good. Get deeper, really get deeper. I will probably do a short review of it on late night, on Comic Book Late Night on Wednesday, if I get a chance to watch it. So anyway,
under obscure character of the week.
And if you get a chance to watch it, maybe we can even talk about it on the podcast. Okay. Let's see. I am super duper cool. Has asked this question 400 times, so I'll go ahead and answer it, but I'll only answer it one time. Asks what we thought of Zachary Quinto as Spock. I don't know. Let's do this real fast. I like and don't like Zachary Quinto Spock all at the same time. It's one of those things where my thing with Zachary Quinto is that I think he does as good of a job as he can do, but he doesn't look like Spock. Like not even kind of. I don't know. That was the one of that whole cast that took me a minute to really buy. And I think the problem is because I was watching Heroes at the same time, and Zachary Quinto will always be that character for me. You know what I mean? And they had him doing things like grabbing people's throats. So I just kept seeing Sylar while I was watching Star Trek, and that was kind of weird for me. That was the thing. I think that Chris Pine was infinitely better cast than Zachary Quinto. But I think those two together have a lot of chemistry. So,
it's funny. I actually saw him more as Spock more than I saw the guy as Kirk. I don't know. I thought Kirk was a little more out of control than what he should have been.
Well, yeah, he was. I felt like it was a bit of a different
of youth.
I felt like it was a bit of a different character. And that was okay with me. With the new Trek movie, I don't really think of these as the same characters we had before. I think of them as Kirk Mark II, Spock Mark II. They're changed because circumstances in the past changed them. So I'm kind of okay with alternate characterizations, but still, there's only so much you can do to Spock and still let the Vulcans still have their logic thing. You know what I mean? So you blow up his planet and then you can let him be emotional. Sure, that's fine, that's fair. But when Spock starts choking people on the bridge, I didn't have a huge problem with that so much as I was just thinking, you're Sylar from Heroes and you're not Spock. You're Sylar.
He's Psylocke.
That made it hard. Divot 22. I'll answer that question in a little bit after we do this next thing. But do ask it again because I would like to answer that. At the risk of making Trek fans angry. Okay, Vince, it's time now for top overall books.
Woohoo! The top overall books. Top 3.
Yeah, comic books.
Yes, well, it turns out to be Tale of Two Cities. Anyway, Batman and Robin, Superman, Earth 1, and The Flash.
That's tough. I would love Earth 1 to win this. I would really like Earth 1 to win this. I doubt that it will. And it's weird, it's one of those weird things to have that on that list because it's it's a graphic novel. It wasn't a miniseries or a monthly or anything like that. But best book, you can put whatever you want to on there. Yeah, I think Flash will win this. I think after Flash won the other thing it won, it'll win this.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I could have, I was thinking Batman and Robin was going strong for it, but guess not.
I don't think so, but we'll see. Somebody made the point, hey, it's all DC, isn't that interesting? That is really interesting, and I think that's a testament to what fans have really been latching onto this year. What's interesting, what's really weird about this, and let me mention this real quick, is like I said, I was doing some research and found out that Marvel was the top-grossing comic book company this year. Marvel beat DC by quite a large margin, and I don't know how that happened. Not even. Kind of like most of our viewers and most of the fans I talk to agree with me that DC has been infinitely better and more interesting than Marvel this year, and yet why is Marvel outgrossing it? I don't know. Is it just like the people that we talk to are not the same people as the rest of the universe? I don't know what happened.
Maybe it's just that maybe they're looking at strictly a dollar amount and considering that Marvel has its dollar amount a little bit higher than DC.
Well, there could be that. That could certainly have gone into it, which will be really interesting to see how Marvel combats this. We draw the line at $3.99 or $2.99 thing that DC is doing. Have you been seeing the ads?
Yeah, well,
you saw that on my show.
Yeah.
DC. We draw the line at $2.99, and is Marvel going to do the same thing?
I heard that Marvel was going to jump in after them, but I heard that from a joke site, so I have no idea.
Who knows? Yeah. Well, let's find out.
The winner is Batman and Robin.
Wow. That really surprises me. Is it sad that I dropped that book? Like I feel like I almost kind of feel bad about that. No. It really was a great book, but it's got a different creative team now, so that's also part of the reason that I dropped it. Okay, well I didn't call that. I did not call that. But I was glad to at least have seen Superman Earth 1 get on that list. So that was cool. And finally in comics, it's sad that we're done with comics. I wish this whole thing was comics. I kind of wish we'd done more comics. Okay, Company of the Year. Company of the Year between DC and Marvel. Now, next year, I really want to open this up. What's that?
So that's still comics.
No, I know. I'm just saying this is the last year comics. Next year, I would really like to maybe open this up to other stuff. But this is more not like the best company, but more like the favorite. Who do you think did a better job this year, DC or Marvel? I'm actually seeing some Marvel in here, which is interesting.
DC, Marvel. And then SpacMan thinks apparently there are multiple companies named DC.
Well, SpacMan feels the need to go over all the people who's in Marvel with more DC is what he's doing. Okay, Vince, I think it's going to be DC.
Yeah, probably.
Pretty darn positive it's going to be DC.
I was just in a comic book store the other day and overheard the conversation verbatim. I'm usually a Marvel guy, but recently I've just been reading a lot of DC. So,
all right, here we
go. I find that interesting.
DC.
Well,
that was fun. Let's take a question.
Poor Marvel.
It's time now to take a question, Vince. Vince, you answer a question.
Let's answer the first question we see. When will we see reviews? The review session. Oh, who reviews the Reviewers Season 2? After some period of time after season 1.
And actually, let's talk about who reviews the reviewers for a minute, because we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, and we've got all 4 of the videos, of course, in half for the last week, but we've just been having a hard time getting all the judges together. This is the first snafu we've had. It's amazing, considering how difficult this, you would expect this whole thing to be to pull together. 5 guys in different countries, in different states, in one case a different country, review spots from Canada, and so anyway, but we've managed it every time. This time we've been having a hard time getting everybody together, so hopefully this weekend it'll happen, and then you'll see the new episode next week, hopefully. But anyway, as far as season 2 goes, I'm hoping to do a season 2. We have not entirely 100% decided if we're going to do a season 2, but this has been going so well, I would like to do another one.
I just thought it was funny. Coolio Vids, season 2, woohoo! I'm coming for you.
I think if we do a season 2, we're going to get a ridiculous amount of entries. Don't you think? The way this has been going, I think people have really enjoyed it. We've gotten really nice viewer counts, and it's just been a fun experience for everyone involved. And I, for one, have learned a lot. I've learned a lot, you know. So anyway, that's the thing for that. If we do a season 2, it will probably be in the fall.
Something just occurred to me.
What's that?
I forgot, after I finished talking about Walking Dead, to do this. So everybody who's still got their sound off.
What do you mean? What did that? Oh, la la la. Oh, am I done? Okay. Let's see. Night Spawn with some X's in it. Why has it taken so long for DC to get movies out for characters that aren't Superman and Batman? Let's do that. Let's tackle that.
I wonder if whether or not Warner Brothers thinks that they're hard to. I don't know. I just wonder whether or not they think it's going to sell well, based on whether or not it's popular, and they think, well, can we really get an Atom movie out there?
See, the thing is, yeah, but first of all, you gotta think that considering the characters that Marvel has put out between Fox and Marvel Studios and Sony, DC has a lot of really popular characters that have never been made into movies. Most notably the Flash and Wonder Woman, which they just couldn't get off the ground with Wonder Woman. I completely disagree with what you just said. And the reason is because DC has been going for Vertigo titles. It's so interesting. So DC doesn't think that they can get a Flash movie to sell, but by God, they'll make Watchmen. And they'll make Jonah Hex, and not that that's Vertigo, but I mean, you know, considering
it's Marvel, isn't it?
No, Jonah Hex is DC.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, it is DC.
Yes, Vince. Okay. Hold on. I gotta reset. Okay, here.
I was thinking of Rawhide Kid. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
completely different character.
Anyway, but yeah, what else have they done with Vertigo? They did Constantine. I mean, it's interesting some of the things they thought they could sell over some of their mainstream titles. So I'm still not sure why it hasn't happened, and my answer to that is I don't know. It baffles me. It completely baffles me.
Well, Flash and Wonder Woman had like creative differences. I mean, they wanted to do one that was set in World War II for Wonder Woman, and Warner Brothers didn't like that. And they wanted to do a sort of legacy type of thing where they've had many Flashes over the years, and they didn't want to do that either. So back to the drawing board.
What would be an ideal? Somebody left a question and said, "What would be an ideal fifth season for Heroes?" Can I answer that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
What they should have done in the first place. The show got canceled because they ran out of ideas by second season. Yeah, an ideal fifth season would have been an ideal second season, which would be what they should have done in the first place, and what they had initially planned to do, which was a different cast every season. Heroes was supposed to reset their cast each season and have a different set of heroes. Each season, so that's why first season feels like a complete show. Everybody's characters are pretty well wrapped up by the end of the first season. Problem was they were too popular, so they felt the need to keep the cast. Ergo, they could never figure out how to keep characters dead and stuff like that as the series progressed. But anyway, that's what I think.
DVid22. I was going to say, what would be an ideal season? Just make X-Men, and we'll be good. X-Men TV series.
When I first saw Heroes, I thought, ooh, this is gonna be awesome. By the end of the season, they'll be wearing costumes and they'll work together and stuff. No. And even though they didn't wear costumes, I still would have liked them to have at least, wound up in the same town and worked together. By second season, you still have that format of this person's over in Texas and this person's over in New York and yada yada yada. What do we think of Shadowland? Vince, we did a GNN on Shadowland, but we did it in the middle of Shadowland. Shadowland is now over, and what are our final verdicts?
It's a big steaming pile of crap.
I'm gonna drop a little bit from what you just said and say it's a big steaming pile of not all that good. I didn't love Shadowland. I liked what was going on in the Daredevil book infinitely more than I liked Shadowland, and I think that if Shadowland hadn't been a giant crossover book, not crossover, but a giant event thing, if they hadn't felt the need to use it to try to sell books, I think Shadowland would have been fine. I think that they just went directions they wouldn't have gone had it stayed in the main Daredevil book. Because Daredevil, a lot of people were really loving the whole Daredevil taking over-the-hand thing. I think that's why they made an event, because they're like, ooh, people are paying attention to this, so we'll make an event out of it. If they hadn't done that, it was gearing up for something. And I don't think Shadowland was exactly what it was gearing up for. The idea of the giant Shadowland Tower in the middle of New York City, that was a great idea. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was all the other silly things they did with Matt Murdock that really botched it for me. Mm-hmm. And then the whole, giving Daredevil's book to someone who's not Daredevil is the worst thing Marvel has ever done. Maybe not ever, but recently. It's really silly, and I haven't talked to a single person who was reading Daredevil who hasn't dropped that book. Everybody's dropped that book.
Mm. That's unfortunate. But I still hate it. I hated every minute of it, so...
Okay, anyway, now that I'm sorry, did you want to say anything else about Shadowland? Because I kind of took that and ran with it.
No, I just thought the events were extremely either stereotyped or just really hokey. And by the end of it, when they had Daredevil going into his mind and taking this little trip with us, I felt like I was reading like high school literature. It was so tired for me. I'd seen it a million times. So I couldn't get into it because I thought it was just amateur.
Well, Vince, it's time to go to movies. And we're starting to run out of time, so let's go ahead and get through the movies pretty quick, and we'll answer like a question in between each of these, and then we'll go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll maybe take a couple more questions live. How's that?
Sweet.
Cool. All right, here we go. For top animated feature, the nominees are How to Train Your Dragon, Vince.
Your Dragon, Vince.
Batman Under the Red Hood. And Toy Story 3.
Toy Story 3 doesn't win this. I mean, I haven't seen it yet.
But it will win this.
Like, if it doesn't, then what's wrong with everybody?
Yeah, right. I mean, Batman Under the Red Hood was good, but I don't see that over Toy Story 3. Yeah, Toy Story 3 was amazing, and it was one of the highlights of my year. So, anyway. And How to Train Your Dragon I heard really good things about, but missed it.
That was okay.
I will watch it, but I have missed it.
It was probably one of the better DreamWorks.
Everyone says Toy Story 3. Let's see if they're right. The answer is... The answer. This is a Jeopardy game. Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 won.
Alrighty. The top live-action feature is inside this. Anyway, the nominees, or the top three rather, are Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Inception, and The Social Network.
With our viewers, it's going to be Inception. I think hands down, it's going to be Inception.
Well, we had somebody saying Inception before. True Grit. We had somebody say Inception when you just said movies. So I'm thinking that the fan favorite's Inception. You want to just try it?
Well, let me say this real quick too before you do it, just to give everybody some suspense. Scott Pilgrim, of course, our viewers love, but it didn't do all that well at the box office. Like it's winding up a lot on these. And it didn't even do all that well. It's really interesting. But boy, was it a brilliant film.
Yeah, it was great. I liked it. I got a poster right back there. Not that you can see it.
I guess my point is you're gonna find that the people who the people who watch us are gonna be very different from the people who would vote in like a normal awards type ceremony.
I don't know. I mean, it did poorly at the box office because of the Expendables. I think that
because of the Expendables. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think one, it had a crap advertising campaign, and
it wasn't great. But I don't know how you sell that.
Well, they sold it like a Michael Cera flick, like it was that one TV show that he was a part of.
I had no interest in it until somebody kind of said, you really should go, and I was like, okay, fine, so I went. But like the advertising campaign did nothing for me. Yeah,
the advertising campaign sold it like it was just one of those. I wish I could remember the name of the show that I don't like.
Well, I mean that's fair since you don't like it.
But
what's the winner, Vince?
The winner is Inception.
Inception, indeed.
No, Inception.
Oh, okay. And top directors. Christopher Nolan for Inception.
What?
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
How did he make it on
There's
there?
no even. Edgar Wright for Scott Pilgrim.
What?
And David Fincher for The Social Network.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, I am too. Frankly, we should have just put these envelopes together and then open one and be like, oh, it's the same
see,
thing.
If one's different, I'm going to be really surprised.
Wouldn't that be interesting? And the top director is Chris Nolan for Inception.
Yeah, who'd have thunk?
Yeah, I know. I'm so surprised. Let's take a question, Vince.
Alrighty.
Let's take a question. This is our question song. Let's take a question. It's time for a question.
Edgar Wright is not a question.
Take a question.
I wonder if anybody's ever looked at Edgar Wright and said, Edgar, Wright.
Coolio Vid says hi, now that we've answered that. Duke keeps asking me who should do to improv comic news. I don't even know what he means by that. Duke has a show, it's called Comic News. That's all I got out of that. I don't know what he's asking me. Improv comic, I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, so hopefully he'll expand on that and maybe I can answer that question. I don't know what he's talking about.
Do you like anything involving the word Transformers?
I think someone just said, "Why are you wrong, Vince?" Somebody asked if I think Star Trek books... Wait, what was that? Are Star Trek books part of canon? Ask me that again. Sorry. We're kind of sitting... Yeah, I know, David, but tell me, ask the question again. Oh, why are we so silly? Vince, why are we so silly? Let's answer that question. I like that. Coolio Vince, why are we so silly?
Because we don't want anybody to ask us why we're so serious.
I'm not going to answer that. I can't come up with anything better than that. Okay, are Trek books close to the series considered canon? No, they're not. No, they're not. Not by most fans. I know fans who want to consider books to be canon, but they're just not. Paramount doesn't consider them so. They're not. No matter how good and close they get, Star Trek books are not canon. And that's a lot of the reason that I don't read a lot of Trek books, because even the really good ones, what ends up happening is later on, I'll think of something from a Trek book, and I'll think that it's canon, because I'll forget where I saw it. And then, yeah, and the thing is, like, I run a Star Trek club. I've been running this thing for 8 years now. And if I start getting Trek books in my head, I'll start asking questions that are not valid questions. Because I do a lot of trivia in our Trek clubs. I can't let that happen, so that becomes a problem. Ooh, Jerky Chick, Cap, why don't you curse? Vince, answer that. Well, Yulo says Cap. Why don't I curse, Vince?
He doesn't curse because it's a professionalism thing.
Yeah, that's it.
And because his parents watch this show.
Well, and other people that I know that just don't care for profanity. Yeah, I like to keep us as kid-friendly as possible.
I mean, we can reach a broader audience if we're a little cleaner, and we can be in more public events if we're a little. Not that we really do a lot of public events.
We've done some,
but it's just easier to do if we have generally socially acceptable material, and plus, it's easy to make a clean joke. Well, it's not easy to make a clean joke, but
not if your name is Vince.
It's harder to make a clean joke than it is a dirty joke, but it's more clever if you make something that's clean. So
that's what I think too. It makes it easier to show your videos in public, which, believe it or not, I mean, I find myself showing videos to people quite a bit. Imagine if Basketball had cursing in it.
Yeah.
I have family who come over and ask and request Basketball. This happens. You're like, can we watch Basketball again? People love Basketball. If you haven't seen Basketball, go watch it. Well, I think it's fine. I think it's one of our better projects.
I just suggested somebody watch it the other day. Moments in Basketball.
Moments in Basketball.
Take a look.
All right, Vince. Let's actually put this in the back, because that's the big one.
Alrighty.
Once again, really sorry we don't have the rest of the live show for you. We had every intention of posting the live show in its entirety, but we ran out of battery. I overestimated how much battery we had on the camera, and of course we couldn't stop the live show and really do anything about that right away. So we just finished up the live show for the folks that were there, and now I'll go ahead and let you know what the rest of the movie categories were. We had top 3 actors, and the nominees for top actors were Robert Downey Jr., Leonardo DiCaprio, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Once again, 2 out of the 3 were for Inception, and you're going to see a pattern start to emerge here. The top actor out of those 3 was DiCaprio, Leonardo DiCaprio. And top 3 actresses, we've got Emma Stone, Marion Cotillard, and Ellen Page, and the number 1 was Ellen Page. And top 3 worst movies were Last Airbender, Jonah Hex, and Twilight Saga Eclipse.
Now, Vince and I both were really kind of thinking it was going to be either Jonah Hex or Last Airbender. I was really pushing for Jonah Hex, but it was indeed Twilight Saga Eclipse, which on the live show I said was a bit of a cop-out answer, because I figured most of the people who put that at the top probably didn't actually see the movie. But I imagine, having seen the other two, that it probably was bad enough to be there. I would not be surprised. And finally, the overall movies, top 3 overall movies: Inception, Toy Story 3, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And the number 1 is Inception. I want to thank King once again for putting this together for us. I want to thank everybody who was at the live show. Thanks for all the questions. We had a really good time doing it, and we look forward to doing this again next year. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm Captain Logan, signing off.